Thursday night as the Cleveland Browns were about to seal their 21-7 win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Myles Garrett hits Mason Rudolph. All hell breaks loose, and before you know it, Myles Garrett is swinging Mason Rudolph's own helmet at his temple. Hopefully he didn't hit the soft spot. It looks like he's all right.
He did. We would have known if he hit the soft spot.
I think we would have. But anyway, I just kind of want to know what your overall reaction to this was. What do you think in the end, ultimately, the suspension would be or should be? Kind of just want to hear your thoughts, man.
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm very upset with Myles Garrett because I had him as my favorite for sacks leader with the value, and he was only 2.5 sacks back in the league.
He was actually pretty close. He's bony, man.
So he was right there. So, but you know what? Nothing justifies using a helmet as a weapon, obviously. I know Rudolph, punched him in the groin or, tried to rip his helmet off or whatever happened before that. And, you could say that Garrett might have hit him late or I don't think he did. But what Garrett did, it can't be justified. So to me, I still thought the suspension was a little extreme. I knew it would be around a season.
It's still indefinite right now, right? They haven't made anything.
He's appealing, and I read this today actually on ESPN, I think it was. According to the CBA, you cannot give a player an indefinite suspension. It has to have a time frame to it.
Okay.
So that's an appeal, and apparently back in 2007, I think there was a player that did this in a practice preseason game.
Okay.
And he only got 2 preseason game suspension and 1 regular season game suspension.
And he swung a helmet at someone?
Apparently.
Now, do you know if the other guy was also wearing a helmet?
Not sure.
Okay,
I don't know if it was so you don't know the same extreme. But to me, I think it'll be a full season. And, it is justified. I understand his point, of what happened in the past. But you can't be doing that stuff, man. It's uncalled for. I understand. I understand you have Pouncey punching you, and you have DeCastro holding you back, and Rudolph's charging you, and for initial reactions to do what he did, but you can't. You got to be smarter than that.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I agree with you. That sort of action, swinging a helmet at someone's head who is not wearing a helmet, is egregious, really can't be tolerated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not defending Myles Garrett's ultimate action. He obviously lost his cool. He saw red, whatever you want to call it, and he seemed honestly apologetic afterwards when he had a chance to cool off. And so in the initial interview or in the initial press conference, not really, but you're still fired up from the game. When you had a day to come back to it.
Especially since there was only 8 seconds left.
Absolutely. So I do think that he does feel a strong amount of remorse. And for people who have talked about Myles Garrett as a person, he has had some incidents where he's been overly aggressive on the field, but as a person, really great person, really deep thinker. So I don't think his intent was to seriously injure Mason Rudolph. Nonetheless, though, cannot happen. I am surprised that Mason Rudolph didn't get any sort of suspension because
or a fine. Did he get fined?
He got fined,
yes,
but he did not get a suspension because it really is clear that this dude is the instigator and he continued to escalate the situation until the point that it got to. So obviously, down at the bottom of the pile, they're both jawing. I would love to know what was said because I think whatever happened there may have had something to do with it.
Definitely triggered
Whether
it
Garrett
a little
said
bit.
something or Rudolph said something, I don't know. I'm just nosy and would love to know what the hell was said.
You have to think Garrett was in Rudolph's grill all night long.
Yeah,
he was having a field day with that offensive line.
He put a little extra something when he was laying on top of him. But Rudolph then was the first one to initiate trying to get the helmet off. He was the first helmet puller. Like you said, he did hit Myles Garrett in the groin then. And then after Myles Garrett was pulled away from Mason Rudolph then decides to charge at Myles Garrett with no helmet, knowing that he's exposed. So once again, I don't knock Mason Rudolph as much as I do Myles Garrett. Once again, what we really have to look at is the final action and the biggest action. But I think Mason Rudolph has gotten off a little easy here. Marquise Pouncey, I'm fine with that suspension because I know his excuse was I'm protecting my quarterback. I saw red. Could say the same thing about Myles Garrett. Say, I see some dude jawing at me and charging at me after he already tried to rip my helmet off and hit me in the groin. It didn't even look like to me, and I don't know what Myles Garrett was thinking, it looked like he was just trying to swing at him and he just happened to still be holding on to the helmet. However, you got to drop it. I forget when it was, but back a few years ago, Andre Johnson for the Texans got in a fight
with Cortland Finnegan.
Cortland Finnegan. And they had the helmet off, and Andre Johnson threw that helmet to the side, and they went at it like men.
And I think they only got a game or two apiece for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I do think the rest of the season should be the maximum for Myles Garrett. Now, there is an article in the NFL rules that says if you use a helmet as a weapon, it's a 15-yard penalty and a disqualification from the game. There's no talk about any sort of suspension. Now, it is different because Mason Rudolph was not wearing a helmet.
Right, it was Rudolph's helmet.
Exactly. So it is a little different.
Yeah.
So I think a 6-game suspension for Garrett is more than enough. You shouldn't let it go into next season.
Yeah,
That's way too much.
I definitely agree there. And, for me, Rudolph, like you said, he was pretty much the instigator. And for him to start crying, wolf calling the cowards, he reminds me of that little frat boy that said, "My daddy's a lawyer." Blah,
don't
blah,
give me that
blah,
BSO. That's Bush League. Come on, man. We all saw the tape. We can see that you're sitting there ripping at his helmet first, getting all pissed off because you've been eating the freaking mud all night, man.
I scrolled those memes for hours.
I can't tell you how many times I saw the one where his head's dented in and he's got the googly eye.
James said that one too.
In all seriousness, before we start to joke about it, I am glad that he didn't hit him with the crown of the helmet.
Yeah.
Because this could have been a
crown of the helmet or just anywhere in the head, like you said, soft spot, anything like that.
Thankfully, it was the underside of the helmet that hit him kind of where the foam padding is. If he hits him with the top, like I said, the crown of the helmet, anywhere on the skull, that could very easily crack a skull, cause some serious damage.
Right.
So
very fortunate.
everyone in the situation is very fortunate that is not what it escalated to. And to me, because that had potential to happen, that's the reason why I think 6 games for him instead
I'm completely
of 1 or 2.
content. I'm completely okay with the rest of the season. Just bummer for my Sacks pick.
Yeah, I get that. Bummer for the Steelers too. As we saw on, as I sent you the meme, it said the Steelers got the worst punishment they could have after this incident. The fact that Mason Rudolph did not get suspended for any games.
Oh, man, that's terrible.
I can't imagine he's going to look any better after this incident. You know what? He has
I don't know how
looked
he's
good
not
to
in
begin
concussion
with.
protocol. I have no idea how he didn't get knocked out.
This is the second time. Didn't he get knocked out the one time?
And they made him walk off the field
because the medical cart wasn't working.
There was the other meme with him. Just digress really quick. There was the other meme with him with his face mask off. When they were gonna stretcher him and he was walking off, and there was Mason Rudolph just doesn't know how to wear a helmet. So, not to joke on the guys.
The one positive is that this will have created memes for at least the duration of this season, if not until Mason Rudolph retires from football.
Yeah.